Okay, so I am at Bill and Vicky's, and I have the privilege of going through their pantry and taking out the items that I would typically throw out in a number of weight loss clients' homes. So we are going to begin with these items here. Let me turn this camera around. We've got all sorts of stuff to work with. I see some garbanzo pasta. That's an absolute yes. We can keep this because, as you can see, chickpeas, tapioca, pea protein, and xanthan gum. Okay, I would be nervous about the tapioca and the pea protein and the xanthan gum, but this is not a make or break. This is a much healthier option than most pasta options. You're still getting a legume-based pasta with a couple of additives that I would recommend finding something slightly healthier if you are concerned about those, because isolated protein right here, the pea protein, in general is going to cause issues for your bones, liver, and kidney, especially if you have high intakes of protein in general. But any isolated proteins are going to be detrimental. The tea, absolutely, we're going to keep that, as well as the apple cider vinegar, because as you can see, ingredients: organic apple cider vinegar and water. Typically, if there is more than a few ingredients, 3 to 5, then you almost always know you can toss it. You can keep other oils like this one, or oil, sorry. No, we don't want to keep oils. We want to keep the vinegars. And the organic stone ground mustard, absolutely, we're going to keep that. Otherwise, most of these things I'm going to throw out, and I will show you as soon as I collect them what that looks like. Okay, as you guys can see, there are way too many items for me to go over each one individually. So I think I'm just going to pick the most surprising of the processed ingredients I have behind me and go through some of the ingredients list and show you exactly why I would refrain from using those products. Needless to say, label reading is the #1 skill you're going to need to develop in order to maintain a healthy lifestyle in our modern society. It's sad, but so true. So if you start to pick up on the different words for sugar, oil, salt, and all those yummy preservatives and texturizers and emulsifiers and color additives, there are so many chemicals thrown into our food that are legalized in this country, but no other country on the planet. So it's really in your best interest to take the time out of your day to learn the skill of label reading. Now, some of the obvious things right off the bat I'm going to recommend you getting acquainted with are, like I mentioned, any of the slang terms for salt, sugar, or oil, but also for things like flour and any refined product. Anytime you alter a whole food from its natural form, you are not only making it less beneficial to human health by removing some of the healthful components, such as the fiber, the vitamins, the minerals, the antioxidants, the phytochemicals, the sterols, the stanols, the list goes on, but you are also making it more detrimental to human health by making the rate of absorption more rapid into the bloodstream, thus inducing a greater insulin spike and releasing more insulin. So you don't want excess insulin in your blood at any point in time. But what these things also do is disrupt other hormones and different areas of your endocrine system and different organs all throughout your body. They're just going to age you and cause disease. Anything you cannot read, anything that you're not familiar with or you cannot pronounce on a label, for instance, dipotassium phosphate, I don't feel aluminosilicate. I don't feel that many people are familiar with those terms. So those are some great examples on this Coffee Mate item that people put in their coffee in the morning. They're not only getting their coffee, but they're getting all these additional chemicals that your body has to kind of manage and somehow excrete from your system without doing any damage in the process. So again, anything salt, sugar, oil, flour, all of those slang terms, as well as anything you can't pronounce. If you're enjoying this video so far, make sure you hit that like button so YouTube knows to show this to more viewers. I'm gonna look at some specific examples of these items behind me that most people would consider healthy and show you exactly why you may want to reconsider. So I'm gonna start with this Seeds of Change organic quinoa and brown rice with garlic. Doesn't that sound healthy? Actually, if you flip it over, we don't care about this. This, yes, some of this is important, okay? But this is not nearly as important as this ingredients list. So what I'm looking at, water, excellent. Whole grain brown rice, whole grain quinoa, awesome. But when it comes to, here we go, sunflower oil, sea salt, tapioca starch, which is just another name for sugar, soy lectin. These are not things that are going to be healthful in your body, and we want to get rid of this. V8, original 100% vegetable juice. Of course that sounds healthy, but when you look at the ingredients, we have, I don't even know what that means, reconstituted vegetable juice. Natural flavoring, that's always something that tweaks my radar because that could literally be anything. There are so few regulations around these food products. So just because they say organic or just because they say 100% vegetable juice, that could mean so many different things. It doesn't necessarily mean what it says on the package. Anything that's written on the front of the item or the package is, you're not even going to want to read that because it's all marketing. It doesn't even have to be feasible. This is the only thing that matters, the ingredients list. And if you're really in tune to how much potassium you need in a day, how much added sugars you can have in a day, which should be 0. But more important things are like the fiber and the saturated fat. Some of those may be of interest to you if you're more in tune to what it is that your body does and does not need on a daily basis by means of nutritive requirements. Cooking oil, especially for whatever reason, our pop culture wants to believe that coconut oil is some kind of health food at the moment. No matter what kind of oil it is, it's highly refined. Everything except the fat has been removed from it. So why would you want the fiber removed? Why would you want the water removed? Why would you want the carbohydrates and the protein to be removed from your food just to have straight fat? It makes 0 sense, and no matter what kind of health benefits you may or may not achieve from it, the cons far outweigh the benefits. So oils definitely gotta go. Canned items tend to be a little tricky because some of them are perfectly fine, others not so much. So this sweet corn cream style, for instance, would be perfectly fine if it was just the water and the corn. Unfortunately, there's modified food starch, sugar, sea salt. These are all things you're gonna wanna steer clear of if you are interested in benefiting your health. You want more? No, honey, you gotta eat your vegetables. Nut thins, yes, these are healthier than the average cracker. However, look at that list. Anytime you see a list with more than 3 to 5 items, it's a no-go. There's no chance that all of those additional items are going to be helpful. Right away, we have rice flour. That's definitely not a whole food. Almonds, excellent. Cheddar cheese seasoning. Maltodextrin, which is just another name for sugar. Salt, natural cheese flavor, whatever the heck that means. Yeah, these are not healthy. Okay, agave and honey. Some people like to use sweeteners thinking that they are more healthful than the alternative, which is refined sugar or artificial sweeteners. But little do they know, they are perpetuating their cravings for sweets if they continue using these products. These will go straight to your bloodstream. There is no digestion involved. Anytime a food is rapidly taken into the body, there's going to be inflammation, there's going to be a high release of insulin to combat the glucose that's being absorbed. And lots of people are very weary of honey just because it's not a vegan product, but beyond that, it's still not helpful for those other reasons I just mentioned. Peanut butter. This can absolutely be a healthful food if you're not trying to maintain or lose weight, because any nut butter is not a whole food and it's going to be complete fat. What you want to look out for most in these peanut butters is that they typically have this fully hydrogenated vegetable oil component. This is trans fat. Trans fats have actually been removed, or they were supposed to be removed from our food supply here in America in 2020, I believe. But the regulations for that are so loose, and there are already so many items in the stores that they're not going to go remove them from the shelf. So they think that they're just going to wait, and more people will buy these products over time, and the problem will just take care of itself. Trans fats are by far the most harmful thing you can put in your body at this point in time. I mean, besides things like glyphosate and Roundup chemicals and such. So what you want to do with the peanut butter is find one that says peanuts and only peanuts. There shouldn't be any other components. No salt, no sugar, no oil, just peanuts. Maybe water, but that's it. Okay, when it comes to pastas, these are tricky because they will say things like 100% certified organic, but that's not important. I mean, it is important, but what's more so important is the fact that they say 100% whole grain, and neither of these products say that. And they're also highly enriched. That's always a big red flag. If it's enriched, that means the nutrients were originally removed and therefore causing a need to enrich the substance with things like B vitamins, like in this package. Okay, now that we've taken a look at the items that you want to refrain from keeping in your pantry, let's go take a look at the things that we are going to keep. If you find yourself struggling with this transition or losing those excess pounds, make sure you click my link in the description box below and schedule a free 45-minute consultation with me so we can get started on your health journey. Okay, let's start at the bottom. So we have excellent things like barley, and let's take a look at this pasta. Ingredients: organic red lentil flour and organic sweet potato flour. 2 ingredients, perfectly fine for a pasta. See, pastas can be nutritious, especially when you're using non-grain items like lentils and sweet potato. Hi, honey. You want to see? Okay. So, couscous, whole grain. This one is not ideal, but it's certainly better than some of the cereal options that most people gravitate towards. So, anytime, like I mentioned, you're refining a food, you are removing healthful components and introducing problems. So a better option would be the whole grain, so whole unhulled oats. If you're interested, I will leave a link below because those are pretty hard to locate, especially organic and gluten-free unhulled oat groats. So here are some black beans that you would soak overnight and throw in the pressure cooker. Very healthful. Almonds and ingredients. 1 ingredient, almonds. They're not roasted, they're not salted, they're not doused in oil. Very healthful. Here's another one. And in the far back, we have popcorn, which is another higher calorie item. If you're interested in maintaining or losing weight, you might want to steer clear of those. But if not, they're perfectly good for you. Cocoa. This may be surprising for people, but this is actually a very healthful food. It's full of antioxidants, and it doesn't have any fat or added sugars like you might suspect. Ingredients: cocoa, balsamic vinegar. Any kind of vinegar is going to be very good for you. Yes, it is slightly processed, but that's one of the healthful processed items. When it comes to tomato products, canned tomato products, all you want to see is that no salt added. That is very difficult to find, but very important. Pumpkin puree. That's all that we have in this one. Pumpkin, 1 ingredient. Look at that. Then we have some farro, which is just a different kind of grain. and some canned beans. Again, you want to look for that no salt added. And last in this drawer, we have milled flaxseed, which is perfectly fine, and apple cider vinegar. All right, in this drawer, we have some more beans. Unfortunately, these have salt and disodium EDTA, which is definitely going to be a downside, but if this is all you can find, I'd much rather you eat this than not eat this, simply because you need your legumes. Here's some more vinegars. The teas, again, very healthful as long as they don't have additional sweeteners. Now, molasses and, where is it? This maple syrup. I would remove these typically, but I wanted to show you guys that if you are going to keep some kind of a sweetener, although dried fruit would be ideal, like the whole dried fruit, even though it's had the water removed, maple syrup and molasses are a close second when it comes to healthful sweeteners. Again, the top would definitely be dates or date sugar or date syrup or date paste because it has more fiber and nutrients. But molasses is actually really high in calcium and iron. Both of these are going to cause the same issue with that rapid absorption, but if you absolutely have to have your sweeteners, those are the ones I would suggest. Stone ground mustard, very healthful ingredients, very few. Unfortunately, this one does have some salt, but if you could find one without salt, that would be ideal. Some salt-free seasonings, some quinoa penne pasta, and this only has 3 ingredients. Although they're not whole ingredients, having 3 ingredients in your pasta is certainly better than having 16. And salt-free tomato paste. And I actually found something very surprising. Some salt, oil, sugar-free salsa. Oh, I lied. Never mind. All right, folks. That is it for Bill and Vicky's cabinet.